What's up, everybody? Hey, it's Mike Whitmer, the Expansion Real Estate Group. Happy Friday to you. Welcome to this month's edition of the Monthly Market Update. Hope you guys are all having a great start here, September. Kids are back in school. Summer's ending. Hope we're kind of back into our normal routine and back into the swing of things. So let's jump into our real estate market right away. We've got no time to waste. So taking a look at our trusted Crawford Market Index, I got some more good news for you. We have continued our upward trend. As you can see here right at the very end, again, 25 years of data here. The last 3 months have been moving upwards. So it's really, really good news. So we started August at 74.3 and we ended August at 77.7. So that is a 3.4 point jump on the Crawford Market Index month over month. So that's really, really wonderful news. Back-to-back months of going upwards. And even better news is looking right here. Today, we are sitting at 81.1. So that is actually from the first 12 days of the month. That's a 3.4 point jump in the Crawford Index just in the first 12 days. So we have definitely accelerated the increase on that. And, taking a look at our daily chart, you can really see that we talked about this. We were really kind of hoping back here on July 1st that 71.9 was our low point in the market. And so far, it's turning out to look like it's going to be true. So I'm actually going to come back and talk about this chart here in a little bit. But I'm going to jump forward here real quick and talk about a couple other things. So why is this market index going up? Well, again, we look at supply and demand. So our supply number over here is 97.1. That's now below 100, right? That's moving in the right direction. Last month, we had 19,330 active single-family homes, and today we have 18,249. That's a 5.6% drop just in 1 month in inventory. Again, we've talked about this a couple of times over the past few months. It is very, very common for this to happen. And actually, in the last couple of weeks since we got into September, we've been seeing an increase in listings. So I don't imagine this number to drop below that. I think we're going to probably hopefully start to level out or even move up a little bit. But right now, 5.6% drop in the inventory, which has definitely helped that Crawford Index pop up. And on this side, our demand number is now 78.7. Last month, it was 76.4. So it's a 2.3% jump in demand. So why did that happen? Well, we're going to take a look at our favorite thing here, mortgage rates. And this is not actually the mortgage rates. This is actually, I showed you guys one at a time. This is what's called the 10-year treasury. And our interest rates, our mortgage rates kind of follow this. And you can see here, just in the last 2 months, last 60 days, we've been seeing a sharp decrease in this 10-year treasury. And so if the 10-year treasury goes down, so do mortgage rates. And there's kind of a rule of thumb. Historically, the mortgage rate is 1.5 to 2 points higher than the 10-year treasury. So right now, the 10-year treasury is kind of hard to see, but it's sitting basically right at 4%, just below 4.1%. So traditionally, the mortgage rate would then be 6.1%, 2 points higher. Right now, for the last few years, we've had such uncertainty in our monetary policies that everything's kind of going on. We've been averaging about 2.25 points higher than 10-year treasury. So if I look over here on the actual mortgage rates, you can see here, we are way down to stretch, but we are way down from the beginning of the year to 6.35. You can see here at the start of this year, back in January, we were up over 7%. So it came down almost almost 3/4 of a point in interest rates over this 1 year. That's wonderful. There's a rule of thumb for buyers. It's not exact. It depends on, the length of the mortgage, depends upon, your price point in the mortgage, but just an average rule of thumb, for every 1% that mortgage rates drop, buyers save about 10% on their payment. That's a big number. So here in Phoenix, it's not really the true average, but around $3,500 is the average payment for a basic home here in Phoenix. And so dropping that rate 1% could lower that payment for a buyer $350 per month. That's a nice move for going down 1%. So keep that in mind. And then just kind of historically, I want to kind of show you this. If I really zoom out here on this 10-year treasury, we go back to, this was right when COVID hit, March of 2020, the 10-year treasury dropped down to 0.33%, right? So that's almost 4% lower than we're at right now. And if you think about that, there was just that one little blip on the radar when COVID first hit, where people were able to lock in rates in the low 2%. I think my parents did that. They locked in like a 15-year mortgage at like 2.1% or something, just crazy. But we have seen obviously just a very steep increase in those interest rates over time. And honestly, we've been kind of bouncing back around, back and forth for really the last almost 18 months. But the Fed is going to meet again next week on the 17th. And there's basically 100% chance they're going to lower the Fed rate by 0.25. There's a slight chance they actually might lower more down to 0.5. But that is why these rates are dropping, because these mortgage rates kind of get priced in ahead of time because the Fed starts to talk about what they're going to do. So when they drop the rates on the 17th, don't expect it to fall a quarter point. They're already starting to price these things. So, but yeah, just a really good thing to notice there. I want to jump back to this chart here. I went to again, this software that I use is called the Cromford Report. Michael Orr runs that. He has people on his team. Tina is amazing at this, but I went to one of her Zoom classes this past week, and she was really talking about trying to time the market and how difficult it really is and how it doesn't always pay off. I've told you guys on here multiple times about this exact measure here, this Cromford Market Index, is what's called a lead measure, right? Prices come later. So as the market index is falling, prices will also fall, but they'll fall 3 to 6 months behind what the Cromford Market Index does. And she told me that I didn't really know, when we are coming from a buyer's market, which we are in, and moving into a seller's market, that lag time is the longest it ever is. It's usually between 5 and 6 months before we hit the bottom of pricing from this index. So trying to get this point across here. So what buyers do is they say, hey, I'm going to wait for the prices to hit the bottom. But what they don't understand is when prices hit the bottom, we are already back into a seller's market, because 6 months behind, again, at this current rate that we're on right now, we'll be back into what's called a balance market between 90 and 110. That's the balance market. We'll be back into a balance market by this November. And if we use this July 1st number as being the low point, then if we count forward 6 months, August, September, October, November, December, January, we really shouldn't see the bottom of prices dropping until January. But by that time, we absolutely be well over 100 on the Cromford Index. And right now, like again, in this buyer's market, what was the stat? The stat is 57% of transactions right now, the seller is paying all or a portion of the buyer's closing cost, averaging $10,000. Okay. When this market goes back up over 100 on the Cromford Index, you're not going to get those concessions to. We're now back into a seller's market. So yes, you may catch a little bit lower price, but you're going to lose out on what you can negotiate. So trying to time the market is almost dang near impossible. You know, you're going to get half dozen of one or 6 of the other. So if you're a buyer kind of on the fence right now, then, you know, you really, I think this fall really could be a wonderful, wonderful time for you to look and still get a good deal. They'll be able to negotiate some, and then also not have too much of a decline in prices following after in the market switching up. So kind of a long explanation there, but I think it's super important to talk about that because it's so common for buyers just to really think they can time the market perfectly, but it's really, really difficult. And then last thing I just want to say, so I just talked about buyers quite a bit there. Sellers. I've been very blessed to have a very productive year. The market is down, transactions are down. A lot of lenders, a lot of realtors are really struggling. But what I've been finding with my listings is in this market where buyers to be super picky, there's more than enough houses to choose from. Your house, I've always talked about having the best price or the best product. What I found out this entire year, every one of my listings that have been dialed in, or at least fairly nice as far as the product goes, have sold. I've had 3 houses this year where the product was very, very inferior, like basically needed to be completely remodeled, and none of those have sold. What Tina told us on the Cromford Market Index report was that for a home that needs to be remodeled, buyers are wanting basically a 30% discount. Okay, so if our average price point is $500,000, it's a little bit lower than that. But let's say it's $500,000. That's $150,000 off that they want to make that project worthwhile. So that'll be all the way down to $350,000. And sellers just aren't willing to do that. So all 3 of my, well, 2 so far, and I think 1 more will do it in the end, is they're going to take their property off the market and fix it up themselves and then list it next year. So if you're thinking about selling and you have a home that needs to be remodeled, just understand 1 of 2 things have to happen. You need to spruce that home up, countertops, new cabinets, new paint, whatever it may be, whatever your house needs, or you're really, really going to price it aggressively on the low side to get that house to move. So keep that in mind as you guys go. All right, man, have a wonderful month. I appreciate you guys, and tune in next month. I'm here for whenever you guys need. Thanks.